Yeah, okay, good. That's now recording. And I will get into headset as soon as people start popping in. But before we do that, let's just sitting down. Oops. Right, I'm going to load into Grand Central Station. In fact, I'm just going to do it like this. Right, I'm going to get into the headset. When people start coming in, can you just say hello and welcome them so I know that there are people coming in, and then we'll start.
Why the frick are you so tall?
Oh, Jesus, here we go. Hold on.
NT Amory. Okay, I found it.
Hey, man.
Yo,
How's it going, kiddo?
good. What about you, bro?
Not too bad. Not too bad. You enjoying it over here?
Yeah, it's like a weird version of VR chat and Rec Room.
It's nice, though, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty complete. It's probably one of the most complete VR spaces. Oh, we've lost you.
Yeah. I mean, I would have preferred over like Rec Room or like VR chat, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, it's still pretty cool. Have you checked out some of the rooms?
No, I've only checked out this room.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I looked at them.
you should go in. Try the Tooniverse Zombie Town thing. That's quite good fun.
Yeah, I was looking.
Now, I've got to meet some guys, I'm afraid. I'm going to take some people on a tour. You're welcome to join, but, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Have fun, Camden.
Have a nice day.
You too, buddy.
Thanks. Have a nice day.
You too.
See ya.
Hello. Server max out. What does that mean? Hey, Piran. So we'll start the tour at about 3 minutes past the hour. It'll give everybody enough time to just jump in. Hey, Flick Flick. Hey, Tandy. The older version, there used to be a viewing platform up here, actually, and you could see all the way down in San Fran, which was really quite nice. I wonder if we can get a better view from up here. Hey, Plan C, welcome. Yeah, you can just about see it anymore. Was it this side? I can never remember. It might have been this side, you know. No, I don't think it was this side. I think it was the other side. Hey, Nick. Welcome in. Okay. Well, Nick, we were going to start at about 3 minutes past the hour, just to make sure everybody that wants to be in gets in time. I wonder what's down here. Oh, we can go there. Oh, it's this platform here. That was a waste of time. Yeah, I've got it. We've got it recorded. Thank you. Paul's saying record. I'll take you up my cue from you guys. So, Nick, if you want to take over, or Paul, if you want to take over, I don't mind. But just give me a heads up when everybody's ready to go. Excellent. You all right? You lost? Have fun. It's like speaking to the children. Both of my children today were in a very bad mood. Just before we do all of this, are you okay? I can't hear you, buddy. So you might be muted. Yeah, it's great in there. Yeah, see you. Right, I'm just going to double check because both Nick and Paul have asked me to record this, so bear with me, people. Yeah, we're definitely recording. Okay, let me know when you guys are ready. Four minutes past the hour. Welcome, Sully. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Skits. Skits isn't here. Skits' internet's disappeared. Skits is skitsed out. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's probably worth starting, don't you? Nick, Paul, we happy to go? Yeah, all good. All right, well, just a bit of housekeeping, everybody. Hello, welcome. I'm Tamir, the founder of Checkpoint, and this is the Multiverse. This is Grand Central Station. Thank you to all of you returning supporters of this. You guys have been brilliant, and thank you so much for joining us again. This is a VR tour of Multiverse space and what we hope to do with it. In this tour, we're going to be outlining what it is that the Checkpoint brand will do using the multiverse. I'm not going to talk too much about it in here because this is a public forum and everybody starts chatting, although everybody's been a little bit quiet today. Just a bit of housekeeping rules. I'll be showing you rooms, so I'll be taking on the tour room by room. The idea is that obviously you can ask me whatever you like about the multiverse and about the project and what we're doing and how it's working, but please make sure that you type them into the message window so that Nick or Paul could pick up the questions and ask on your behalf. Hey Zado, how you doing? Hey, you're back. Hey, this is my little friend who couldn't talk earlier. Are you able to talk now? Still mute. So we'll pop into the into checkpoint, and then I'll take you around some of the other kind of properties within the multiverse, and maybe if we have time today, we'll pop into the Infiniverse, and I'll show you a little bit on the Infiniverse. Anybody, Zay, if you're here, if you guys want to join us, I'm doing a tour. I'm not insane. I am talking to people. I'm doing a virtual tour. You are more than welcome to join us if you want in the checkpoint multiverse. Okay, we'll see you there. If you, he's nicked it. He's disappeared. He's gone. Like a dog with a bone. Right, off we go. Everybody ready? Those people that you saw, by the way, are real people that already exist. So that was Grand Central Station. It's the portal point, entrance point to everything in the multiverse. If you join the multiverse online, they're popping in now. There he is, Zado. Hey, Zado. When you join the multiverse, you will get your own room, and in that room you'll be able to access Grand Central Station and the Infiniverse. You'll also be able to create properties and areas and much more like that, which we'll come on to in a little bit. Zada, you're welcome to hang around. I'm doing a virtual tour, which is streaming. So if you wanted to hang around, you're welcome to hang around. If you don't want to hang around, by all means, feel free to have a look around and feedback. So just you can chill with us if you want. Okay. Zado is obviously some random person I've never met before. Nice to meet you, Zado. So this shows you it's a social VR experience, and that's the idea of this space is to give people access to a kind of a social VR environment. It's not quite loaded yet. I don't know if it's loaded for you, Zado, but I can't see the clouds or the outside. But as we're waiting for that to load, what I'll quickly show you guys is this back wall here. So as you can see, we've got this is our entrance lobby. So when you join the checkpoint metaverse, here we go. Look, there's a background. There's the sky. So when you enter the multiverse, there aren't many properties that are open, and actually throughout this tour, you might see people like Zado popping in and out of this space because it is publicly accessible. So this is the entrance lobby, and here you can see our brand elements. So we've got different rooms for different elements, and each one of these doors takes you to a different part of Checkpoint's properties. So if you're interested in exploring the brand as a whole and seeing what we're doing, we'll go in there in a minute and we can talk about it. If you want to access the kids' galleries, the stuff that the kids have produced, which I'll explain a little bit later on and how that happens, you can go and visit their gallery in there. We've got the Checkpoint magazine room, which we'll go and visit, and that's where we'll be showcasing all of our content, so you'll be able to interact with our content through the magazine. We've got the kids magazine, does a similar thing, and the waiting room. But the lobby room is a nice kind of a catch-all area for people to join in. As you can see, we've got 4 breakout rooms in here. They're all named after 4 famous developers. We're going to change these rooms to Schafer after Tim Schafer, Miyamoto obviously after Miyamoto, Fargo after Brian Fargo, the guy behind the guy that invented Fallout and Wasteland, and Livingston, obviously Syrian Livingston from RPG fame, Dungeons and Dragons and what have you. But in here you'll see this room is just showcasing our bedtime stories, which you can download for free. They're available on any podcast provider, but you can also download our app, which is available on the Google and the Apple app stores. And these are ethereal bedtime stories that have been written by us with bespoke composed music and read by some incredible voice talent. Kate, this is the first one we ever did. Kate's reading this one, and they will put your children to sleep within 10 minutes. I promise you that. You can get them on Spotify or anywhere else as well. So have a look through them. There's a lot more happening with the bedtime stories, which is quite exciting. So and there's more of that to come. So that's the bedtime stories. This room is just showcasing the bedtime stories. In the Fargo room, again, I'm walking into walls here. Sorry, I'm just going to jump in. Here, I think I'm a little bit higher than I need to be, actually. So here is just some examples of the stuff that we do with the kids magazine, and in this one we spoke to the European Space Agency. More on that a little bit later on. But as you can see, these rooms are really for you to just kind of chill out, meet with your friends, and they just showcase some of the stuff that we do in the magazine and in the brand. And then this one, I like this room. This is this is Unreliable Delivery Service, which I'm playing with my friend, and we just recorded it, and this is just us messing around. When I say messing around, I mean actually messing around. You can see that we've got that, and I'm going to try to blow him up in a minute. But it's good fun. So it's a nice little space, and obviously you've got the outside area, and so this is kind of the entrance lobby. One thing I will say is if you are at a computer and you haven't done this already, if you go to checkpointhub.info, so www.checkpointhub.info, you will see this effectively in Web 2 version. So the idea is that checkpointhub.info is your access point to the brand. And all we've done is that we've made that into a multiverse space. We've created it so that you can access all of our content through the multiverse. So if you want a traditional... Oh, somebody's pouring water. If you've got a traditional... if you have a traditional browser experience, then you can still access all of our content. Our content is going to be exclusively on Web3 or the blockchain. You'll still be able to access all of our content in the more traditional way. So that's the lobby area. I'm not going to take any questions here because unless, Nick, there are any pressing questions that need to be asked. But I don't think there's really any need to take any questions here unless there's something pressing. We can go straight on to explore the brand if you want. Yeah, so good question. So no, the point of the matter is that we are a traditional magazine, right? So we have other revenue streams in which we can create revenue from. Advertising, for example, is one. Sponsorship is another. Corporate social responsibility. We have lots of other things that we do as a brand that allows us to monetize through that. It's really, really important that our content stays free. And not just free, we don't even gather your data. So we haven't built this platform, we haven't got access to your data. On Checkpoint, you'll notice we've only got a cookie kind of acceptance settings just for that, but there's no actual gathering of data. We don't ask you to sign up or sign in or anything else. Traditionally, most websites and stuff make advertising through their traffic. This is no different. If we've got great footfall and if we've got people engaging and interacting and sharing and being involved in this brand, then it works no differently to what you would get advertising on a website. The difference is because our quality is high and we've got a very engaged, which we already have, we've already got an engaged user base, we're much more commanding over the way in which the ads work. Not only that, we've already proved this in the magazine. So the digital magazine, by the way, and the kids magazine, all of these things are available for you to download for free already. So the business model works. We are not reliant on the utility token, we're not reliant on the governance token, we're not reliant on any of the crypto space to make money or to add the value. The utility token is coming later on down the line, and the idea with the utility token is for it to be a liquid asset in order for you to just be trading to buy basically merch from us in this space. That's the idea. So if you wanted to buy some of our NFTs, you'd use the utility token to buy it. Much like you would in FIFA Ultimate Team or Call of Duty or V-Bucks in Fortnite or Robux in Roblox or whatever it is, that's an in-game currency. So the in-game currency is there really to facilitate transactions. It's not there for any other purpose. So for those that are wondering about the revenue streams, we'll go in and we'll see. But you can see from the brand, it's quite broad in its term, and it can take on multiple ways of generating revenue. I hope that answers the question. Yeah, okay, I haven't heard anything. Zado, we're going to go in to explore the brand if you're still here, if you wanted to come. If you don't, then obviously that's fine, but we're just going to pop into the first door there, okay? Right, I'm taking you into the room called Explore the Brand. Now, Explore the Brand is a showcase of everything that we are currently showing you. It's not exclusive or exhaustive of what it is that we've done. There's still a lot more that we've got coming, that we haven't announced, that we've already done, that we've already created. But this room should hopefully give you a kind of a good overview. Feel free to have a look, Zado. This room should give you a good overview of what it is that we're doing. And I've split it into the two main categories, kind of between Checkpoint Kids and Checkpoint Magazine. Within Checkpoint Kids, there are the learning elements and there's also the bedtime stories, so we'll look at that now. But the idea is, as you can see, we're showcasing here some of our features from our previous issues of the magazines. You can see this is from Tomb Raider. So we spoke to Megan Marie, who's the community manager. She has a really interesting story actually when it comes to her time in video games. We did a whole issue on women in gaming, so this was one of the features there. And in time, obviously, you'll be able to press this. Like I say, this you have to see this room as V1 of what it is that we're trying to do. At the moment, it's just a display, but in time, you'll be able to press and interact with the content. The audio will be there, so you'll be able to press on the audio. There'll be more animation on the images, and there's a whole actual strategy for that. But just to give you an idea of some of the content that we do in the magazine, Women in Gaming. This was our first ever front cover. Carl Fairbairn from Sniper Elite 4, actually. Goodness gracious. Has it been out that long? This doesn't show, but we have all of our magazines have animated front covers, very subtle animated front covers, most of them very subtle animated front covers, but they give you a flavour of the magazine, and that's one of our splashes. We'll go the other way before we come this way because we're at the kids stuff. We deal with big issues. I mean, when I say to you that Checkpoint is kind of like an intellectual magazine, a gaming magazine, that's exactly what we do. So we look at things like how video games are exposing the perils of big data. This article, for example, looked at games like Watch Dogs, like Quantum Break. I always get that confused with Quantum Leap. Quantum Break from Remedy, about how big data is being used and how it's manipulated. What's really interesting is that in this we support all of our written content with either video, audio, galleries. So if you don't want to read it, you can listen to it, or you can look through some pictures, or you can interact in a different way, and that's the idea. But some of we call them a kind of our flagship kind of things, create documentaries. So we make kind of 15-minute to half an hour audio documentaries based on the information that we've done. So for example, the big data one, which was this one, we spoke to Sam Lake from Remedy, the guy who wrote Quantum Break. He invented Max Payne, Alan Wake. I mean, that's Sam. We spoke to Sam about the perils of big data. We spoke to Ubisoft's dev team about their development process and how they did it through Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs 2 and what they were doing for Watch Dogs Legion at the time as well. So that the development of that. We spoke to a guy called Professor Alan Woodward, who's a security expert in this country. He works for Europol, Interpol. I'm convinced he's former MI6 and MI5, this guy. So we collect a load of really interesting people. We then interview them and talk to them, and we create this documentary to support the articles that we do in the magazine. Again, they're all available for free. You can download them from any of the podcast providers that you have. You just need to look for Checkpoint Magazine documentaries and the little icon there, and it'll show you some of the back stuff. The best way to get all of our content is just go to checkpointmagazine.com and just browse through there, because that's the easiest way for you to connect to our content. So interestingly about this, when we were speaking to the Ubisoft developers about what they were doing in Watch Dogs, we said to them, well, how far do you think in the future the stuff that you're predicting is going to be? And they said, maybe 5-10 years down the future. Interestingly, when we speak to the security experts and everybody else, the technology is already here. So there's quite a disparity between what developers think and what's happening in the real world, and that's the kind of exposure that we like to kind of give to the content of the magazine. The Carl Fairbairn thing, actually, that whole issue was about the historical storytelling. So how accurate is storytelling in video games? A lot of children now learn things like World War II battles from Battlefield, and Sniper Elite obviously has a World War II element to it. So, in Sniper Elite, it's basically if Carl Fairbairn didn't kill Hitler, no spoilers, then the West would have fallen apart. The whole world relies on this one sniper. So there's a lot to be spoken about, kind of the way in which we project entertainment and education and historical referencing, which is quite cool. Another one, this is Shannon Loftus. She's head of Xbox Game Studios subsection of something. She's an incredibly powerful and lovely woman with a lot of history of video games. And we, again, part of our Women in Games series we did with that. Here's an example of what the magazine looks like in an iPad, so you can see it's fully interactive, and you're able to kind of interact with elements of the page. You'll be able to turn it and swing it whichever way you want. That is a love letter to Yakuza. So that whole issue is about Japanese role-play games, and about that we did a whole feature on the Yakuza actually. So we did an interview and some really interesting stuff on the Yakuza, and found out how the Yakuza, how that story is being told through video games. Because if anybody knows Japanese, obviously, culture, the Yakuza is quite a big deal. And this one here, looking at the what makes a great persistent world shooter. So we kind of try to deal with the bigger subjects. Again, we look at gaming and children. So this is another audio documentary that we did about how video games help children. We're big advocates that video games can help children, which is good. In the main magazine, again, we'll start here and move back. So there's that Watch Dogs cover. Obviously, when Kobe Bryant, unfortunately left this mortal coil, we celebrated his life with our issue of the of a sports issue of the magazine, where we looked at Kobe and looked at the NBA and looked at that. There's the Watch Dogs front cover. That's one of my favourite covers actually, which is quite cool. And then we do industry legends pieces with people from the industry. So Jason Kingsley, he's the CEO of, or Sir Jason Kingsley, CEO of Rebellion Games, the guy behind the Sniper Elite games, behind Strange Brigade. So we have full-on chats with these people, and again, those documentaries and those interviews and those chats are available and make up a bulk of what we're talking about. David Braeburn behind Frontier Games. So obviously, any of you that play EVE Online. Is it EVE Online? Yeah, it's EVE Online. It is EVE Online. No, EVE Online is this CCCP thing, isn't it? Frontier is the other space game. But yeah, so they do everything from that. It is, I think it is EVE actually. And they do all the kind of the theme parky stuff and at the moment. So Zoo Tycoon and Planet Coaster and all that kind of stuff is from Frontier. Brian Fargo, who we've mentioned before, the inventor, the guy behind Wasteland and Fallout franchise, that's the guy that invented them, and Sir Ian Livingston as well. So we have access to these people within, obviously within the sphere of what we do. So we can make a really rounded and interesting magazine, and looking at the way in which video games fit into our lives. And again, we do our own opinion pieces for history of stealth games, so we kind of chart the history of stealth games and how the AI has progressed and how game development has progressed and how that's fed into industry. We've done one here on strategy. So I did this piece on how when I play real-time strategies or turn-based strategies, there's a lot to learn about myself, about how to deal with certain elements or certain problems within the world that I live in or the world that I work with. So they're quite good for cognitive behavioral, not therapy as such, or they can be used for therapy, of course, but they allow you to recognize how you react to things. We've also done things, for example, I spent 6 weeks with a guy called Darren Turner. Darren Turner is a Formula One car tester. He's also a test driver for Aston Martin. He won Le Mans in 2016. So I spent 6 weeks with him to see how easy it was for my transferable skills from driving on a console, a simulator, to driving on Silverstone, and it turns out I was a second behind the pros. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that we do in the main magazine that tries to kind of encompass the importance of video game as a whole. So that's Checkpoint, and then there's obviously Checkpoint Kids. Sorry, Zado, just went straight through you, man. Checkpoint Kids is a load of stuff that we did as a response to the pandemic at the start of COVID-19. One of the things that we were already initially planning on doing was releasing a kids special magazine in the summer, a special issue for the kids to find out more about their favorite games, different games, and to kind of impart some knowledge about them. The kids magazine is all about imparting knowledge and in allowing the children the space to. We say it's for kids by kids, and we encourage the children to produce the content and we curate it. So we theme them in much the same way as we theme the main magazines, but we let the children then kind of fill the content. That's another article that we did about EA actually and Sky Sports working together to create artificial sound noise in studios during the pandemic when they were playing soccer matches or football matches. They didn't have a crowd noise, so it's having an impact on the players. So they worked with EA and Sky Sports to create fake sound. So that's a really interesting article. But the kids magazine, if we come back to the kids magazine, so we go out to schools, we create lesson plans for them, and then we invite them to write content. And we give them the magazine, they become our guest editors, and we try to help, educate them in games that are good for them. But it's not just about the games that are good for them. We give the schools learning plans, we give the teachers lesson plans. They all hit national curriculum attainment targets. They all adhere. So if, in this country at least, if somebody was to come and inspect the lesson from government, they would pass. So it's not like they're just a waste of time. We don't endorse or encourage the playing of games in the classroom. What we do is we use the kids' understanding of video games, their cultural capital, what they know about the world of video games, and use those intrapersonal skills of resilience and bravery and courage and failure to help impart that knowledge that we teach. So we'll do maths lessons, geography lessons, English lessons, and they all work to a primary school age. And then we do more than that as well. We connect them to industry. So, for example, this is Sam Oldham. He's an Olympic bronze medalist, for gymnastics. And so we got him to speak to the children. That's one of the videos. We'll have a look later. We did a lesson plan, but then we give them the lesson plans and then we connect them to people in the industry so they can see a real meaningful connection if they're playing of video games to real life jobs and industry. Again, the National Schools Observatory, these guys are an incredible organisation here in the United Kingdom that give children access to a telescope in the Canary Islands, so that they can look at the stars and take that data and analyse it in class. So what we've done is we worked with Mars Horizon, we've worked with Kerbal Space Program, and we did this issue on kids where for the kids magazine that we got the children to speak to the guy that was in charge of the National Schools Observatory and talk about the little star formations that they'd found and they'd spoken about, which is an amazing thing, all using games like Kerbal Space Program and Mars Horizon as the basis for it. We also have worked with the United Nations about kind of being safety aware, but also protecting the planet. So this was a special campaign from the United Nations about climate change and the 1.5 degrees Celsius or centigrade rise that they were trying to raise awareness from. And then the European Space Agency, we've done some stuff with them. We've had the children actually speak to the guy that flies that solar orbiter. They spoke to him and the operations manager about how video games help them get to the European Space Agency and fly those satellites. So it's sorry, I'm getting buzzed. So the idea of the kids magazine is to really impart as much knowledge as we can. We'll do a little bit more about the kids magazine later on. As you can see, we've got the bedtime stories there as well. So we've done a Roller Coaster Tycoon bedtime story, a Sonic the Hedgehog bedtime story. So that's kind of a quick overview of the brand as we are. And like I say, all of this is available for you to go check out now. So if you wanted to go to checkpointmagazine.com, you can access all of this stuff. If you're interested in the kids stuff, go to checkpointkids.com. And again, you'll be able to access all of that. Any questions before we move on to the next room? Okay. Yeah. How? Okay. Well, it's really simple. I think it's fair to say that everybody in the world is a gamer, and we all learn something from gaming. Whether you're playing Angry Birds, Candy Crush, Call of Duty, whatever it is, you're all learning something from gaming. Whether that's communication, allowing people to communicate more, whether that's filling gaps of historical. I know I've learned a lot of history, or it's inspired me to go off and learn a lot more about history from the games that I've played. I also think it's important to know things like the transferable skills, like reaction times, being able to read, observation. All of these things are really, really important. When you're playing a game, you're given a lot of information very, very quickly. So you've got a user interface that you have to be able to determine and decide decipher the information that you are given in that way. From a political perspective, I mean, it would be difficult to argue that that doesn't affect it. I mean, digital literacy is one of the biggest things that we push here at Checkpoint. This is the world that we're going to be moving into. So video games is one of those one of those portals to allow you to understand that world and to better kind of engage with it, whether you choose to play the games that you want to or you don't. So video games is important in every aspect of the life. Video games is influencing film. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing now as CGI generated is done in the Unreal Engine. So, you know, the sound effects are done. We're getting... The games industry is bigger than Hollywood, the music industry combined. And that's one thing that people don't quite understand. But what people haven't figured out yet is that video games are actually a very, very useful tool for us to learn more about ourselves and the way in which we interact with the world as well. I hope that answers the question. Hey, Chief. Yeah. No, we are raising capital because what you see is done by basically three of us, and we're knackered, we're exhausted. We can't keep producing, and the beauty of what we've done here is that we've taken a traditional format of media and we've brought it onto the next generation of the web. Now that needs upscaling, that needs development, that needs time. That's not something where we can just write and produce content. I come from I'm a broadcast journalist. Sorry, Chief, I'm giving a tour, so if I sound like I'm just talking like a maniac, it's a VR tour. You're welcome to stay if you want. Okay. I think Zado's hanging around with us, which is quite cool. So the idea is that the content is free because the content is free. I've forgotten the question. Sorry, Paul. Can you just repeat it? Yeah. The tokens will be airdropped to you. It'll go through the Kick platform. So we're originally launching, and we'll be able to announce the date next week. You'll be able to buy governance tokens, excuse me, through the Kick platform initially. We will be doing a public sale of the governance token, but the utility token won't come till later on down the line. The reason that we need to invest and the reason that we need to do it is because we've bootstrapped this whole product this whole way now. We need a team of writers, we need a team of developers, well, not developers as such. What we're not doing, and I think it's really important to note, we are not investing in creating a multiverse. We don't. That's not our job. Why should we? Everybody else is doing it. There's no point in doing it. We're experts in content. We've got access to the games industry. We know everybody that we need to know in the games industry, and that's our kind of route. We're raising the funds because we want to be the first, and we believe in this technology, and I think it's really important that those people that have that same vision about what content can be like on Web3 and the blockchain and the multiverse, we're at that cutting edge. So yeah, of course, like with everything, this needs research and development, and we need to be investing in it, and we need to be providing and investing in content that works in the multiverse space. Yeah? Right, next question. Simon says, here we go. If you've got a question, Chief, I'll come to you in a minute. We're just taking some questions from the guys on the stream, if that's all right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm just listening and learning, just taking notes.
Yeah. Well, it's already available, Simon says. So if you go to checkpointkids.com, you'll be able to go to the teacher. It's a 2-click website, and it's made so it's easy. You're able to download all of that stuff. Not only do we do stuff for teachers, we do stuff for home education as well, and these are aimed at children between the ages of 7 and 10. And they're designed so that the children can work on them as projects on their own with very little or no help from their grown-up. So it's all there. We're doing a lot more in the education space. Again, another reason why we need to be able to pay some more teachers to be able to do some stuff. But yeah, it's already available, and there's a whole strategy actually for the checkpoint learning, which is quite exciting. Yes. China, yeah, and yeah, yeah, yeah. Any more questions? Well, I mean, if this is not a social media like format, I don't know what is. The whole of the multiverse experience is supposed to be a social VR experience, and that's why we've created it like this, so you can interact with the content or interact with the people. Like I've been interacting with Zay over there, and the other dude has been coming along. So um, look at this as almost like a replacement for forums or chat boards or kind of stuff like that. This is a real life interaction where you can kind of meet with people. As you saw in the entrance lobby, there are breakout rooms, and there are more breakout rooms that people can kind of go into and chill out as well. But the idea is it's a social VR experience. That's the whole idea of it. So trying to kind of limit people or kind of put them into groups is not the philosophy of what we're trying to do here. Yeah, yeah, they could. I mean, there are different rooms, and you can make your room your own, and you know it's all good. But you can't stop people from coming into those rooms. So I think it's just important that people know that this is a social experience. It's for everybody. I mean, I couldn't kick Zado out if I wanted to. So you know, even though this is our room, but you know, and Zado's a multiverse traveler journeying through the multiverses. So. So yeah, so that's it. But that I think that's the idea of this space, and it's about inclusivity, right? So that's what's important. Brilliant. Well, let's go into the. I'll tell you what, Zado, follow me. I think there's a magazine room over there, and if it's not over there, I'll give you a link. No, that's to the lobby. Here, let me see if I can. Oh, I've accepted you, Zado. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Part of this social VR experience. So if we go to rooms, uh, Checkpoint Magazine Gallery. It's this one here, I think. Zado, that's for you, buddy. I'll see you there, okay?
Thank you.
So as you can see, I'm giving links to people so they can join us in the room. Some of these rooms are a little bit convoluted to get to. So this is the main magazine room. So this is where we'll feature all of our content, and it's a little bit more uh, kind of open. So when you were talking about kind of meeting with people, this is a kind of a space that you can meet with people and do what you like with. And we're just showcasing our content up here, understanding another audio piece there, review that we do. And actually in the magazine, it's important to note the website is for news, previews, reviews, and that kind of stuff. The magazine is really for long form op-ed form features. So these are just some of the stuff that we've got in the main magazine. This is a piece that we did on how Shakespeare is the most useless thing in the English curriculum at the moment because it doesn't speak to children. It's a different language. It wasn't even written for the. So that's the kind of content that you'll get from Checkpoint Magazine. Another interview with our friend Rihanna Pratchett there. The evolution of RPGs. So as you can see, we're trying to. This space is kind of a showcasing what it is that we do in the magazine. And down here, as you can see, we've got those breakout rooms that we were talking about. And in these rooms, we can have different advertising or maybe even play. There'll be some betas and stuff that people will be able to access straight through here. And there's a lot more of that that I can't talk to you about coming, which is quite cool. So again, we've got 6 breakout rooms, and these breakout rooms could be used for whatever. You could be talking about Sega in that room. You could be talking about Call of Duty in that room. It doesn't really matter, and it's not finished. So please forgive the fact that we haven't completed doing it. But I just wanted to give you a bit of a flavour of what this room looks like. Yeah. Any questions here? There's not really much to talk about in this room. This will also have featured video and audio and everything else. And I'll show you something a little bit later on, which all of the rooms will have when we've finished in the checkpoint space. Good. We're gonna. Zay, we're going to go back to the lobby, bud. And then from here, we'll just wait for Zaydo to join us because it's quite nice that we've got somebody in with us, actually. Hey, Zay. So the next room that we're going to go to, buddy, is going to be the kids magazine. Yeah? Now, the kids magazine is basically like the main magazine, but more of a gallery. And this is just to showcase some of the stuff that we do in the kids magazine. So, you know, I was speaking to you about in the magazine, we do things like the Did You Know? So we give them little information, little fun puzzles that they could be interacting with. So, for example, here we did a whole thing on Feather. Now, if you see, you've got a listen button there. If you press that, you'll be able to listen to Chris, who's the editor, and I talking about Feather and what kind of game it is and how it works. That will be a video, so if you press that, it will give you a quick overview. It's all got the PEGI rating, so all of the content in the magazine is suitable for children. We've got the interactive elements, so for example, it will ask the questions, and in the magazine you'll click the button and the answers will pop up, as you can see here, which is quite good fun. So there's a lot for children to do. We also give them word banks, so because each of the magazines are themed, we choose a list of words that we repeat in the magazine, and they are also repeated in the bedtime story, so we try to impart those that vocabulary to children. And here you can link directly to our learning materials for either home learning or for teachers. Some of the examples and galleries of the stuff that we did for the children. And then, so we've got B Simulator here, some more interesting facts and some more kind of cool things for kids to know. So we try to give them as much information as we can. This is one of the lessons that we delivered to a school in Wormholt. Now, these are low income, low ability children. They don't have much opportunity, and we took in a Sonic lesson, a design and technology, into this school, which did incredibly well. The idea of this lesson was to give the children a chance to use Sonic to create a wisp from Sonic Colors, or a Dr. Eggman contraption to capture Sonic the Hedgehog without hurting him. We created all the lesson plan, as you can see. It's on the board there. That's some of the examples of the work that we did, and we let the children get on with the work themselves. The engagement, as you saw, was incredible. All the kids who usually are not engaged were all engaged in this, and then they got the chance to create their designs, talk to each other, and then present their designs to their classmates. Their classmates then, so half of the class did wisps and the other half did robotic devices to capture Sonic, and then they presented their designs to each other, showing what they did. But not only that, we then connected them to Aaron Roseman, who is the Sonic Colors Ultimate producer, and he's the one that is in charge of Sonic, and they presented their designs to the actual guy that's responsible for Sonic. He actually said that there were some amazing designs that he was going to try to include them in the next game. So it's giving them those meaningful connections, those roots, that it's not just about being a YouTuber or an influencer. There's a lot more that children can get from this. If you're interested in design, if you're interested in narrative, if you're interested in marketing, if you're interested in PR, if you're interested in accounting, if you're interested in legal, there's a job for you in gaming. And that's what we try to show children. And then obviously, like I say, we celebrate their work by giving them the magazine and asking them to deliver content for us, so it feels like it's their magazine. Just a couple of pages from that's the front cover of one of our magazines. This is Beyond Blue, where we spoke to the guys, and that's the thing, we only choose games that really teach children something. Beyond Blue is really interesting because it was made by Eline, based on the Blue Planet series done by the BBC's Natural History Unit, narrated by obviously the incredible David Attenborough. But what we do is, Beyond Blues are really interesting because you have to go swim around the oceans and scan, but make sure that you maintain a distance from and not get involved in the ecosystem. So those messages that we try to kind of impart to children. It Takes Two, celebrating cooperative games. Some pages from the magazine, some more pages from the magazine that you can see there. That's what they look like in the iPad. They're all optimized for iPad, iPhone, or for your screen. And this is some school submissions. So this is the stuff when we take the lessons in, or when they take the lessons, they then produce this work, and then we put the work in the magazine. We celebrate their work and we give them a space to do it. So this is Amelia. This is based on city building. So we used SimCity and Pocket City for this. That one we used Zoo Tycoon. And again, some more here from Ellen and some more front covers from the magazine. This was all about, we did a whole issue on sport for the children, and so we used Sonic and Mario at the Olympic, or Mario and Sonic, I should say. Ori, we spoke about platformers, and they did some amazing stuff with music in that issue. And then our bedtime stories again that feature in the magazine, and just a repeat here of what the kids have done with the European Space Agency, with a little bit more information here on the boards for those that are interested in finding out more about that. So that's really the kind of the kids magazine in a nutshell. Like I say, we curate the content for the children, but we invite the children to create the content themselves and to submit their work. Any questions? Hey, Carl. Great, thank you. So I'm going to tell you something that nobody knows. The other than Paul, the bedtime the bedtime stories were actually a result of some very rude stories that we did in video game worlds. So we did a podcast which is available. We did a podcast for a year. I did one with a friend of mine and comedian called Jake Yap. Jake and I used to talk about video games, and we used to talk about the importance of video games in our lives. So, for example, I'm a journalist. I used to travel a lot. I run a production company, so I used to travel a lot. And one of the things that really kept me sane was video games. And I speak a lot about No Man's Sky when I was in Edinburgh for a month, and No Man's Sky was my escape. And so that podcast was all about kind of the way in which we perceived video games. But it became so popular, the podcast, that people wanted us to do a live stream. And the problem was we were starting the live stream at 7:00, but the parents were trying to get their children to sleep, so they couldn't join the live stream. But I'd written these stories as tongue-in-cheek, full of innuendo. And Jake and I... And actually, if you want a treat, if you go to the Checkpoint YouTube channel, the audio's terrible, but you can actually have a look. There are some adult bedtime stories, and that's how they started. They were done initially to try to kind of keep the children and the parents happy. And the podcast was safe for kids and safe for work and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't bad. But yeah, I would love to go back to writing those. But when you see our roadmap and when you see what we're actually doing with the bedtime stories, I think you'll forgive us for kind of holding back a little bit on that. I will bear that in mind though. But if you like the idea of that, then go to the Checkpoint magazine YouTube page. I'm sure Nick or Paul can drop you a link in the thing, and I think it's in its own subcategory, so you should be able to find it pretty quickly. Great. Zay, I think there's a door in here to take us to the kids gallery. So let's go around the other side. If not, we'll have to head back to the lobby, okay? No, that's the... Oh, actually, you know what? Let's go to the classroom, Zay. We'll go to the... I'll meet you in the classroom. For those of you that have been with us before, you haven't seen this. This is behind closed doors. This will be private when we go live properly, and when the children are using it. This is our classroom, so we can actually host full-on lessons in here. You can sit down anywhere you want on these seats, and you can be involved, and we can go up here and present to everybody. So this will be our actual virtual classroom. There's Sam Oldham speaking to our kids and talking to them about how he used video games and how he was influenced to become inspired, which is quite cool. We've got our Checkpoint learning stuff, so actually up here is quite nice. Here's one of the things that the kids did, so we asked them up to design a similar thing to that they have in the Antarctic for astronauts to practice on. So that was quite good fun as well. That's it's all gone a little bit dodgy in here, hasn't it? So this is our classroom. This is where we will bring children in, or we will deliver teacher training courses, and this will be a locked off area, so you will only be able to access it if you're a member, if you have a password that will allow you to access this area. But we thought we'd just open this up very quickly so you guys can see how our classroom looks. What do you think? Nice, right, Zay? Good, yeah? It's good. Zay, we'll head back to the lobby. I'm going to give you a link to that now because these doors, there's a bit of an issue with these doors. So I'll meet you back in the lobby and we'll go to the kids' gallery, yeah? Any questions as we're moving to the lobby? No, we don't. We don't have samples for the NFT is a little bit more complicated than that because you need the wallet in order to be able to store it. So there's a lot more going on, and the NFT isn't as simple as just an NFT. The NFT has multiple forms. So as with everything that we do, we like to complicate things. You will have a version of the NFT in this space that you'll be able to pick up, and it'll be a 3D asset card. You will be able to use it, play with it, pick it up, and it will, even if you drop it or do whatever you want, it'll still obviously be tied to you. We're going to head into the kids' gallery, Zay, okay? So I'll just finish answering those questions. Yeah, I'll see you there. So we don't have them ready now. Well, they're ready, but they're just not ready, if that makes sense, because they need a little bit more coding, because we want them to be able to retain and maintain their quality, irrespective of whether you look at it in a browser or if you look at it in VR. But obviously VR is only 1080, it's 60 I think it's 30 no, it's 6 oh no, it's actually 120, I think, frames. Whatever it is, we've got to figure out the kind of the different formats in which we're going to have the NFTs that you'll be able to look at them. So they will come. They're already designed, I'm happy to say, and they look amazing. But we just need to kind of program them so that they work properly. Does that help? Sorry, Nick. Go on. Yes. Yeah. 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 There. I mean, I everybody that we've spoken to about the NFT card, specifically the cards. There's more coming, which we can't talk about. But for right now, the cards that we're producing. So they're a deck of 20 cards, and each deck will be. Let me start right from the top because it's really important that we understand this. Each card or each run of album, let's call them albums. So each album will have 20 cards. Off those 20 cards, there will only be 100,000 of those cards minted. 85%. Yeah, 85% will be 1-star rated, 10% will be 2-star rated, and the remaining 5% will be 3-star rated. And they will have their star ratings on the card. Now, when you receive the card, they will be obviously 1-star, 2-star, or 3-star rated cards. When you trade or sell the card, which you can do, that's the whole point of them, there will be a chance for that card to evolve from whatever star rating it is to the next star rating. So say, for example, you had a 1-star rated card and I traded with my friend Zay over here and we swapped cards and I gave him the card. He might still have a 1-star rated card, but when he sells it on, it might evolve to a 2-star rated card. When it evolves to a 2-star rated card, the card stops becoming a card as such and it turns into a silver card. So it becomes into a silver embossed, beautiful card that is. If whoever Zay trades it to trades it again and again and again and again, it has the opportunity and the potential to then evolve a second time, which is the final time. No card can evolve more than 2 times to a 3-star rating. That 3-star rating card will go from silver to gold. It's outlined in the orange paper, so you can have a look at it if you want to, which is all available on GitHub. But what does that mean? You might be thinking, well, 100,000 cards, 85% or 80% or 85% of them are 1-star. Well, yeah, they are, because the point of the matter is that you could sit on a card. So Zay, I could give the card to Zay, my 1-star or my 2-star or my 3-star card, the base card before it's evolved. Zay could sit on it. Now, in the meantime, everybody else could be trading their cards, and as they're trading, they're evolving. So Zay's 1-star card that was original 1-star card hasn't evolved, has automatically become immediately rare. So, and the question then becomes is, does Zay sell it? And if he sells it, how much does he sell it for? And if he sells it and somebody's looking for a rare card, will it evolve? I mean, that's the jeopardy of it. I mean, Zay could sell it for whatever, and then the person could receive it, and it could have evolved to his 2-star card. So the idea is trying to keep that economy interesting and exciting when it comes to the card rarity. In addition to that, the NFTs we're going to hopefully open up to artists to then deliver. Say, for example, Zay's an artist. I could say, Zay, hey, what's your favourite video game, dude? He could turn around to me and say, I don't know, I love Rayman Legends, for example. And I say, well, listen, why don't you create 20 cards inspired by Rayman, and we will then be able to sell them as NFT cards. You take a royalty, you benefit, you get a bit of exposure for your artwork, but we get content and everybody gets to benefit from it. So there's more, which I can't go into, but that's the very base level of how the NFT cards work. Does that make sense? Is that good enough, Nick? Thank you. Good. Any more questions before we head into the kids' galleries? Yeah, okay. Zay, we're heading into the kids' galleries, okay? This is one of my favourite rooms, actually. Hey! Oh, we've lost him. One of the things that is really important for us is making sure that the children are celebrated. All of their work is celebrated. So it doesn't matter how many children submit work to the magazine. Obviously, with the magazine, we have a finite number of pages. I say finite number of pages. We don't really. It's a digital magazine. We can have as many pages as we want. But you don't want to have every 6 weeks a magazine that's 300 pages long and children just flicking through to find their stuff. That will take away from what the point of the magazine is to impart and inform children with good, rounded, safe space. And I think that's the other thing I need to say about our spaces outside of the multiverse is that we, in the kids magazine and in the main magazine, we never point you out of the magazine. So for example, if we ask a kid to draw something, we include a digital sketch pad in the magazine, so they can use that digital sketch pad to take a screenshot and send directly in from there. All of the crossword puzzles and all of the word searches, all of those are inbuilt in the magazine. We never ask the children to leave that space. But if they create, and we always encourage them to create some amazing artwork, sculptures, videos, audio, whatever it is that they want to do, that's what we encourage them to do. But where do we put all of this stuff? Well, the answer is the children's gallery. We can change this up whenever we want, but this, for example, was a summer school thing that the kids did using our learning materials to create a board game. So the school sent through the stuff, so we share it, we celebrate it. It's in the magazine. This is stuff from primary school children that use knights and bikes to create their own knights and bikes type characters. How cute is that? And they sent us a swathe of stuff, so why not? Let's put it in the gallery. This is stuff when we were talking about Ori. You remember we were talking about Ori earlier? And this is about creating designing a character that will protect the forest in the same way that Ori did. We did this with the primary school. They sent their stuff through. Brilliant. We'll celebrate it and we'll share all of their work. This crazy bunny, I love this bunny. It's just so angry. It's brilliant. The Wrath of the Bunny, I like to call this one. So again, we just take the children's work and we can update this gallery as often or as not as often as we like. But this is a space to celebrate the children's stuff. One of the things that I remember as a kid was getting work into a magazine or into getting a piece of writing or a poem and it being published. It was an amazing thing. And we want children to feel that amazement when they come into our world and they come and look, mummy, look, daddy, look, my pictures up here. This is the park that I created when we did the lesson at school about Zoo Tycoon or Animal Crossing or whatever it is that it was. This one was Planet Zoo. So, so this is what we want. We want to celebrate the children. But as you can probably see if you pay attention, it's not just artwork. This is stuff that they've done. So they've actually done an actual leaflet. Opening day is on the 30th. Hope you enjoy. Adults prices 40. I mean, that's an expensive zoo. Children £20. So we, even with the stuff that we ask them to do, we're still trying to get them to think about what it is that they're doing, and all of that stuff is supported by the learning materials that we create that sit with the magazines. This one again, I mean, that's I think a tiger, but at our zoo we try to stop endangered animals becoming extinct. Also, we help creatures that are injured and can't go back to the wild. Child, that's a better price, £2, £4 for an adult, especially in the economic climate that we're in. But I mean, how lovely is that? So that's the idea of the Kids magazine, is to use this as a space to share, showcase and celebrate the children's work. And there's more coming from this stuff, which we'll announce later. And yeah, so that's all for this bit of the tour in the Checkpoint multiverse. Zay, I'm going to head back to the lobby if you want, and we can probably quickly go into the waiting room. So let's head back to the lobby, shall we? Oh, hold on. Here you go, buddy. If I can grab it, Zay, hold on. I don't know why it's not letting me grab it. I'll meet you in the lobby. He's gone. Has he gone? I'll meet you in the lobby, Zay. Any questions while we're heading back to the lobby? Okay. Here, Zay. We'll just wait for Zay, and then we'll pop into the waiting room just so you can have a look at it. And then once you guys are in, hey Zay, we're going to pop into the waiting room so we can have a quick look at that. Okay. Once we've done with that, Zay, if you go to your wrist, there'll be a planetarium. I don't know if you've been to the planetarium before. You have. I'll meet you in the planet. We'll go into the waiting room, and then we'll go into the planetarium afterwards because I want to demonstrate what that does and how we're going to work that in this room, yeah? So the waiting room, I think, did you say, maybe asked the question earlier about meeting spaces? This is a waiting room. We can have lots of spaces like this that allow you to just meet with friends. There's also a terrace, which I haven't taken you to, just because it's just a bit of it's basically this just outside with a massive fire in the middle, which is quite nice. But this is a kind of and actually it's quite interesting, this room, because when we go to the Infiniverse, this will almost be like a storefront. So you'll be able to come in here and you'll be able to buy NFTs from us here. Excuse me. As well as other merch, which we will be explaining a little bit further on down the line. But as you can see, quite a tranquil waiting room until you realise that you're on the edge of some kind of precipice. Yeah, let's not do that. So this is kind of the waiting room, and this is a kind of an idea of what the store will eventually look like, and there'll be other elements that you'll be able to get involved with as well. So that's the Checkpoint multiverse as it stands. Zado's just launched himself in. Zado, we're going to head into the planetarium, so I'll see you in there in a minute, okay? Any questions before we head to the planetarium? Now, I want to take you to the planetarium because the planetarium demonstrates... I showed you V1 of what we're doing. This is kind of V2 of what we're going to be doing, and this is how it'll work. So as you recall, maybe you remember I said that you'll be able to interact with content like this. So obviously this has been set up for that thing, but it'll give you an idea that you can actually interact with the content a little bit more as well. You can have stands, and if we go to this... Oh, goodness. You can interact with the content. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. So we've got some friends. Hi, guys. You can't go in it, but you can listen to the stuff. So when I'm talking about interactive content, we're talking about being able to engage with content without just looking at it. And there will be more stuff that happens. But for example, I don't know if you guys have been over here, but we can pick up a rocket, for example, and fire it, and look at that. Flies into orbit. It'll go around the sun, as you can see. So there's all of this cool stuff that's in this room that you can be doing. Don't fire it straight at the sun, Zado, for goodness sake. There you can see how it's all kind of kicking off. But you can see, so there will be elements in which you'll be able to interact. And this is just an example of how the rooms work in VR and how other rooms can be working as well. As you can see, if we pop down there, follow Zado down, you've got different planets, and the different planets, this is the sun, so you can see there's Mercury flying by, and you've got Saturn there, and you've got Uranus, which is there. So this is what the checkpoint room will eventually become, something a little bit more interactive, where you'll be able to pick up stuff, speak to people, play games. Remember that board game that you saw in the kids' room? Well, who's to say that it won't be a board game that people can interact with and play with in our actual multiverse? We've got 2 more guys. So this will give you a good idea. Zado, I'm going to head back up to Grand Central Station, okay?
How'd you do that?
Any more questions as we're here? Okay, so Grand Central Station, this is where everything kicks off again. And just to give you a very quick idea, let's quickly pop into the Infiniverse, and I'll show you how what I've just shown you sits in a wider kind of world. So the rooms that I showed you, you saw when you looked out, you could see all of the scenery, which is quite nice, right? But what will happen is eventually is that scenery will disappear, and you will be in the Infiniverse. And the Infiniverse is a constantly expanding city where you can have your own apartment. There are districts that you can visit, and you can interact with people. We've got a lot more to talk about in the Infiniverse, which I don't want to talk about right now. But anybody with a bit of imagination can see from what we've already done, can potentially see what we're going to be doing here. These are skyscrapers. Each one of these, you can see an icon on it, is owned by someone. Each one of these apartments, right? And in these apartments, you're able to buy them. You're able to do. You're able to buy them. Oh, hello. You're able to buy them, but you're also able to see who. Oh, goodness gracious! Where have I disappeared to? You're able to see who owns them. You can see that there are storefronts as well, so you'll be able to see a checkpoint storefront in some of the places eventually. But you can see the list of people that own these apartments, and their value. That's the penthouse. So you can see how many people are kind of in this space, and this is just one building, as you can see. There's no easy way to explain how massive this space is, but suffice to say, it's still loading, and obviously it's still in beta, and they're updating. I know, because I know the developers of this, they're updating it, so I know that this is all kind of being done, but once it loads in, it takes a little while to load because it's in beta. But you'll be, there's a space there that you can see. But all of this is a constantly expanding thing. So the checkpoint multiverse will eventually sit in one of these buildings, and then when you go out to the balcony, you'll see everybody messing around in their world, in the real world. So this is the Infiniverse, everybody. We're not building it. We don't intend to build a multiverse. Why would we, when we've got something like this and when we've got some incredible content to put in it? And there's so much that I want to kind of talk to you guys about on that, which I really, really can't. But that is about it from me. I'm going to take us back to my actual home, and you can probably see from there we've got stuff that we're working on that front as well. So give me a second. Let me just take off the headset because I'm getting a little bit queasy. Whew.